Welcome everybody to another episode of Educational Thursday here at Both Sides of Conversation. Welcome everybody. I'm John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of Conversation. Tonight we have an amazing presentation. Phenomenal sister. She was our hidden gem. She came on a couple of months ago and did a presentation for the community as well. She's coming back to share some more information, show some love to the community. This is what's needed in our community. We're trying to be intentional. We're trying to impact the community with information. We're trying to get that information that's not always available. Sometimes we hear about it, sometimes we don't. And this was Educational Thursdays is about. We're trying to get the information to the community, get the community resources, educate them so they understand the things that we need, especially when you're talking about what the topic is tonight, wills and trusts, understanding how to protect our assets and leave generational wealth, how to have the right paperwork in order. So if something happened, who's responsible, being intentional, not wait until something happened and then we scrambling trying to figure out who's going to do what, how's everything divided between family and community or whatever. But again, that's what we're here for, to give the information to the community. So just happy to be here tonight. Just before we get started, just want to let everybody know we excited. Tomorrow is our official Both Sides of Conversation launch party at 7 p.m. I hope you guys are going to be able to join us. We're going to be live. You're going to be able to chat with our team. We're going to do a step-by-step walkthrough, how to navigate the website, how to book a show. Maybe like tonight, you want to do an educational presentation. We're going to show you step-by-step how you can sign up and do an educational presentation for the community, as well as our hidden gem show, how to nominate somebody. You might know a Black or brown business out there that you want to nominate and have us highlight them so community know where they are, what operation hours they are, and where they located, and what services they provide for community. And we're going to try as community to patronize these businesses to help build them. And we have to support each other. That's one thing that we're trying to build here, is uniting the community. It starts with us working together. We have to spend our dollars together, work with each other, support each other, because that's the only way we build and evolve as a community. We need that economic power. We need to have ownership, so that we can hire our own, we can do some things with our own, build businesses. So that's what this is all about. And then as well as our Sunday conversations, you'll be able to go directly to the website and be a panelist on some of the topics that's coming up. Invite people to be panelists that might have expertise in those topics that's coming up. So really excited about for tomorrow for the team. This launch party is going to be amazing. And there's a lot of things coming forward down the line here at Both Sides of Conversation, a lot of collaborations, a lot of people reaching out, want to work with us because they like, hey, it's a movement going on. The Freedom Train is here. The Both Sides of Conversation Freedom Train is pulling up to your community. We asking all the people, all aboard, come on, if you want to jump on this train, because we're going to keep this thing moving. We're not sitting back in 2021. We're not asking. We're not waiting. As community, we're going to do the things that we need to educate our community, support our community. We're going to support our young people because our young people are dealing with a lot right now with this Zoom school and our educational system. So we're not waiting anymore. We're going to bring people on. We want talented people. Come come volunteer, come help out. If you have that talent and you're like, oh, I want to give back and I want to help, we have some opportunities. We want some innovative thinkers. We want some people that's thinking forward. We don't want people stuck in their old ways. We don't want people stuck in their old thinking. We're looking for vibrant people that has open minds, open ideals to take this thing to the next level. And we'll give you more of what's going on tomorrow. I'm not going to give it all up tonight, but we got some amazing things with this website, the things that we're going to be able to connect resources to community. So it's going to be very powerful. But with all that being said, the presenter of the night is here, the sister. See, this is what community looks like, people out there. See, a lot of times we have this negative or this stigma that our people excel professionally or educationally, and they don't care about community. And we have to break that narrative, you know, and this sister right here is showing y'all what community looks like. She's building her business, building her brand, doing her thing, but she's also giving back to the community. She's coming back tonight to give free information, free game to the community, the information that we need to break this financial wealth gap, to break this bondage, because we talk about freedom here. You know, it's two things that we post and we pushing, you know, it's either freedom or death. And we're pushing freedom. We want to free our people. And the only way we could do that is with information. We want to take the chains off our brains. We got to take the chains off our brain, community. We got to love on each other, support each other, and get this information. So with that being said, we have the Oakland law firm here, Brianna Phillips, a community ambassador, giving back, making sure nobody's left behind. You can't get an excuse tonight. If you're here tonight, you don't have an excuse. She's giving you the information. You know it, but we got to apply it in the community. So with that being said, I'm going to turn over to Brianna. She's our presentator tonight for our Educational Thursday. She's going to be talking about wills and trust, people. This is a bad sister. This is the type of lawyer you want, somebody that care about the community. She's not here to get over on community. She's not here to property pimp. She's just here to give the information. And if you need her services, she's going to give you all the information, how to reach out to you, protect your family, protect your asset. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Brianna and let her have the floor to go through this presentation. Thank you, sister.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Like you said, my name is Brianna Phillips. I'm a licensed attorney here in California. I'm located in the Sacramento area, but my firm is virtual. I cover the topics of, or the areas of law of business law, which includes trademarks and copyrights, and then also estate planning, which includes those wills and trusts. So today I set up a PowerPoint to go ahead and show you guys so that you can follow along and just give you some information of the basics of what a will and a trust even is, what is estate planning, all of those things that we need to think about when we're getting ready to pass on generational wealth. So right now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start the presentation. So
yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, I'm just gonna start the slideshow right here. Okay, so today we are talking about estate planning. And so what we wanna do is secure generational wealth. So when we're talking about generational wealth, what do we mean? The idea is that Black and Brown communities, we didn't get the type of education that the other communities got, and they're starting at a better vantage point than us. They're starting with their grandparents leaving them trust funds. They're starting with educated parents. They're starting with all of these things that we don't necessarily always have the luxury of having because we don't know the systems and what to do. One of those important systems is having an estate plan. Yes, life insurance is important. Yes, having your retirement plan is important, but it's also important to have an estate plan so that at the time that we pass on, the people behind us will have something to live off of, even if we don't have any life insurance. So first thing I want to explain is what is estate planning. It's the arranging for the management and disposal of a person's estate during a person's life or after death. What does that mean? You're basically getting in order what you want to happen to your property, whether it's money, whether it's real estate, whether it's a business, what you want to happen to it at the time that you pass on, or if you're still alive, but for some reason you're unable to take care of yourself. Unfortunately, you came down with dementia or you become in a coma, you want to make sure that you have a plan in place for the people who love you and take care of you to make sure that you are loved and taken care of. And at the point where we pass away, making sure that our other generations are taken care of as well. There's a common misconception of that estate planning is only for the old and the rich. That is not true. Basically, everyone who is over the age of 18 needs to be thinking about having an estate plan. What's included in your estate plan includes your power of attorney, what happens to your finances when you pass away, what happens to you medically. Do you want to be put on life support? Do you want to be taken off of life support? And making all of those decisions for your family so that they don't have to make that hard decision for you, and it might not be what you wanted. So that's important to put into your estate plan. You are also going to be distributing your assets. If you have a house, if you have a large savings account, or just a savings account in general, you're picking who it's going to, how much of it is going to that person. It can also manage your life insurance plans. You can put your life insurance to go directly to your family members, or you can put it into your estate plan where a portion of it is distributed over time, just in case you have like minor beneficiaries, people that are too young to have a big lump sum of money. Even if it's $10,000 or $100,000, you don't want a 12-year-old walking around with $10,000 in their bank account, because they're not going to have it in their pocket with all the digital currency we have right now. And then you also are wanting to think about guardianship of your children. If you have minors, people under 18 that depend on you, you want to make sure if you pass away before they're 18 that they're going to the right people. And then also you can put guardianships over your pet, depending on how important your pet is to you. You might not want a certain cousin to be taking care of your dog because they're going to have them in dog fights, right? So you want to make sure that your animals are going to the right place. You want to make sure that your children are going to the right place. You want to make sure that your physical property or your money is going to the right place. So who needs an estate plan? Like I said, everyone over the age of 18 should be thinking about it. People who especially need to be on it are people with minor children, anyone under the age of 18, people who have real estate. If you own a house, if you own apartment buildings, if you own a commercial estate, you want to make sure that you have an estate plan in place so that it is going to the right place where you want it to go. Also, business owners, you want your interest in your business to go a certain place, or you want your business to be dissolved in a certain way. It's important to have an estate plan in place to make sure that your wishes are being handled even though you are not here anymore. And then single adults, if you're living by yourself, you don't have roommates, you haven't talked to your parents in quite a long time and they wouldn't make the best decision. You're a vegan and they think that you still eat meat. They don't know what you want to happen to you. So it's just easier to have it already written in stone so that it might be difficult for them to have that plan executed, but at least they're not making that decision. You're making that decision because you know you best and you know what you want to happen to you. So again, I just wanted to go over what goes into your estate plan. You're going to be designating your beneficiary. So that's going to be, you're picking who you want to get something, because under the state law, you might not like the person that is getting something, right? You under state law, your children get things first. And maybe you have one child that just went rogue and you don't want to have them having $50,000 and your house while your other kids are trying to fight them for it, right? So you're picking who you want to even be included in that estate plan. You're also picking the size of the gifts. So that means if you have that rogue child and you have $100,000 estate, you might only want to give that child $5,000, or you might not want to give them money at all, or you might want your jewelry to go to a specific person that you know and you like, and you want them to have that because they just have that bond with that jewelry. So you get to pick who you want in your estate plan and what they will get. You don't want the state deciding for you. You also have powers of appointment. You're giving people the power to make decisions for you. If for some reason you can't really decide, like, okay, if I am in a coma, I want to be on life support, but only for a certain amount of days, you give someone that permission to let the hospital know how much you want. Or if you're incapacitated, you don't want to pay your bills while you're incapacitated. You give somebody that power to go ahead and say, hey, we're not paying the bills at the interest if you want. You're just designating those people to make those decisions for you. You also can establish property ownership. So that means if you have a house or you have a bank account, you can decide who you want to own it. If you want your trust to own it, if you want someone in your family to own it. So you're designating who you want to be in charge of a lot of different things. You're also putting your power of attorney into this plan. So that's going to be, again, with who do you want to be in charge of making sure your bills are paid or making sure they're not paid? And who do you want to be in charge of your medical decisions? If you are in a coma, do you want to be on life support or do you not want to be on life support? So those are important decisions to make, because if you're incapacitated, if you're in a coma, you can't make those decisions. Or if you pass away, you can't make those decisions. I keep saying the word incapacitated. You plan for if that happens. So you don't necessarily die, but you want to make sure that you're taken care of in the event that you can't act for yourself. You lost your memory and you don't really remember what you would want, right? So you plan for that, and that way no one's making that decision for you and forcing you into doing something that you're not sure if that's really what you wanted. Again, the guardianship of the minors, that is really important to make sure that your kids are being taken care of by a person that you want to take care of them. You don't want them to go to your grandparents and or their grandparents, and for some reason your parents slipped up on like an alcohol addiction and the state doesn't know that, right? So you just want to pick, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your sister or your brother, who your child is going to, who you think that they will be safe with, and who do you think will most protect them if you were not there. And then for more complex estates, it could be about changing your estate taxes, paying a certain amount on your house or selling it or things like that. And then also your business succession. So what happens to your business if we pass away? Do you want your kids to take over your share? Are your kids even allowed to take over your share depending on your operating agreement or your bylaws? So, and then what are the benefits of an estate plan is that you do get to have control over who takes care of you if you can't act on your own. You do get to pick what assets go to who and how much of it goes to who. And that could be beneficial in the fact that one person did something great for you and the way you want to repay them is through your will. Same thing with minimizing gifts. Someone you really don't like, you don't have to give them anything, but if you don't make an estate plan, the court might give them something, and then now you are in heaven upset that cousin Bobo is driving your Lamborghini, right? So you want to be able to pick who gets what. And then if you have a trust, you can skip generations. I don't know why I keep saying you don't like people, but sometimes you don't like people, you don't want them to get things. So you can generation skip. Let's say you have 3 kids and you don't like any of them, but you like your grandchildren and you want everything to go to your grandchildren, and you could skip over your kids. They're going to be mad, but I mean, it's your choice, it's your money, it's what you lived up through your life, and you can decide who you want to give it to. It has some different tax benefits as far as how you're dispersing the funds, if it's money. And then for trust, you eliminate the uncertainties of probate, which we will get into what probate is. I'll give a little brief description of that. It's the court process of which they distribute your assets. And so if you have a will or if you pass away without a will, then you're going to go to probate. But if you have a trust, you do not go through probate. And then you can maximize the value of your estate. So if you have a will or you die without a will, then you are going to be subject to paying court fees, to paying attorneys, to paying creditors, and all of those things. So it's important that you determine what's the best value of my estate. Do I want all the money from my estate to end up going to the court, or would I like my beneficiaries to have some money? And then I'm going to just break down the most common types of the way that estate plans go, just so we can be on the same page of what is what. So a will is just a device to distribute your property. You're basically picking who you want to get something and how much of it you want to get. That is important, even though it still goes through the court process of probate, because like I said, you don't want, if you you don't want things going to people that you don't want to have, and you want to make sure the people that you care about and the people that have been good to you are rewarded in the way that you want them to be rewarded, rather than divided equally. If you had one kid that didn't take care of you versus, okay, give more to the kid that take care of you so that they can take care of their family now because they sacrificed a lot to take care of you. So the will does allow you to pick the people and how much and some other things that you can do with it, but it's not going to be as extensive as a trust because it goes through the court process. The judge is not going to wait till Billy turns 25 in order to give him money. He'll put it in a trust so that a trustee can wait that long, but the court is not going to stay open for 25 years for you. The trust is also a device where you distribute property, but you get more control when you're distributing the property. You can make someone wait. Your son doesn't get money until he goes to a 4-year college and graduates with a 3.5 GPA. You can do that like on Power. I don't know if everybody watches Power, but that's what they did on Power. Yes, you're going to get money, Tyreek, but you have to wait until you graduate college. So you have that authority to drag out the process as long as you want, really, depending on what state it is. Usually you have like 300 years to do it, but for the most part, you can drag it out. And then if you die without a will, it's called interstate, and it's basically the state's default system to go ahead and distribute your property. This is going to happen if you don't have a will or you have a will that is invalid. It happens the most often in our communities because we do not estate plan. No one wants to talk about death. No one wants to plan for death. So we end up not doing these things, and then we end up going through the court system, and there are people getting things that are not supposed to get things, and there's fights, and there's all of that. So if you pass away interstate, that just means that you didn't have an estate plan, basically. Probate, like I said, is the court's process to formally settle your property. So you go through the court system. This typically takes about a year in California. It can take longer, it can take shorter. The things that go through probate are, again, the wills, and if you pass away without a will, you pass away interstate. It provides for settlement, formal settlement of your assets and clear title. So let's say mom kept saying that she was going to give her house to Susie, but then the court decides that the house goes to all of these people. Or if they have a will, you can give it to Susie, but then you have to sell it because it's not enough money to pay the creditors, right? So you just have that formal settlement of where the property goes. And like I said, typically it takes about a year to do. This means a delay in recovery for your beneficiaries. This is bad because when someone passes away, you want time to grieve. You do not want to be fighting with the court and trying to figure out where this is going, where's that going, how am I going to pay for the funeral? I have to ask permission for the court and all of these things. You want to take that time to grieve. You don't want to be fighting over property at a time where someone passes away. It leaves room for fights and contesting the will. Someone doesn't like what they're getting in the will, they're going to contest it and say, hey, someone tricked dad into making this will. Someone tricked mom into making this will. This is not right, it's forged. You get people fighting over the smallest things like the mom's favorite spoon that she used to cook with all the time. And it just creates more issues than there need to be. Give that spoon to who you think the spoon, who deserves the spoon. It is going to reduce your assets substantially because you are going to have to pay creditors, you're going to have to pay attorneys, and you're going to have to pay assessment fees. So if they decide that they need to sell the house in order to meet a certain creditor, you're paying that fee. And then on top of that, the creditors are notified immediately, and at that point there's a bunch of creditors, if you have creditors, there's a bunch of creditors sitting there at one time and not wanting to budge on their payment because someone else didn't budge on theirs. So now you have competing creditors also taking up your money and then all the time to pay the attorney. There are certain situations where you can go through like a expedited probate system, but it's a lot of different moving parts. Your estate has to be under $150,000, but all real property has to be under $50,000, and some other moving parts within there. And so those type of probate situations are not that hard. Like if you don't have any assets, if you're young and you never bought a house and you don't have any kids or anything like that, and you just happen not to get a will, you can go through that expedited process if you don't really own that many things. Intestate, again, that passes through probate. It's the process of which you passed away without having your estate plan in order. The beneficiaries are dependent on whether the property is owned in separate property, community property, or quasi-community property. California is a community property state, which means once you are married, everything that you buy, everything that you sell is between you and your partner. So if you go into a marriage without a prenup or anything like that, then if you buy a house while being married, that house belongs to both of you, whether it is in both of your names on the title or not. So if your house is owned in separate property and you're married and you pass away, then a certain portion of it goes to the spouse and then the rest is distributed to the next people. This results in you not being able to disinherit the people you don't want to have something. So let's say you passed away, and below is where the order that it goes, and it goes all or nothing. So if you have children, it will go to your children. If you don't have any children, then to your parents. If you don't have parents living, then to your grandparents, aunts and uncles. If you don't have any of those living, and then it'll go so on. So let's say you did have you didn't have any children, but your parents survived you. You don't really like your parents. But if you didn't have a will and you pass away without a will, then your parents are still going to get those things. And it's just a thing of you might have wanted it to go to someone else because they needed more help than someone else. So that's what happens when you pass away without a will. It's going to go through that state process, and then your spouse is always going to get a certain amount of that property. If you pass away and you have community property and no will or anything like that, the spouse gets the full property. So you get the full community property. If you have a house, no portion of it goes to your kids if you're married and you didn't pass it down through a will. Wills, like I said, typically pass through probate. It's the simplest estate planning device. It must comply with the laws of the state where your probate is proceeding. So if you made your will in Chicago, Illinois, and then you move to California, and they have different requirements. Like for California, you need 2 witnesses. It has to be signed by the settlor. It has to be notarized, and all of these things, they have to be satisfied. But if you do it in a different state and it doesn't satisfy California rules, then basically the will become invalid. So if you make a will in one state and you move, make sure that that will still complies with the new state, or if it doesn't, that you make a new will. The wills give rise to being able to be contested because it has to go through court. So that gives people time to ponder and think like, hey, Susie is getting the diamond bracelet that I really want. So I'm going to contest the will because I think that I deserve that diamond bracelet. I'm going to say that Susie manipulated mom into giving that to her. Or I'm going to point out that this will was made in a different state and we're missing the 2 witness requirement. Or I'm going to say mom signed this when she already had dementia, so it doesn't count. So it just leaves a big open book of worms for people to come and cause more problems and delay the process for all the beneficiaries. And then trusts are what most people are leaning towards now, which is one of the things that I feel like our community was not informed of. How do you use a trust? Why would you have a trust? Let's just get a will, not knowing that that also goes through probate. The trust does not pass through probate, okay? It gives your beneficiaries direct access without asking for permission. So let's say you passed away with no life insurance and you needed to get the money out of your bank account or the person that passed away bank account, and that bank account is not accessible because the court has it on lock. So you have to go and ask the court, hey, can I have money to pay for the funeral? Whatever time it takes for the court to move, we know the government is slow, and it's just dragging time out. If you have a trust, you can directly go to the trustee and say, how much was allotted for the funeral? Here's $10,000. Thank you for my $10,000. Move on. So you get direct access to whatever it is. The house is supposed to go to Susie. Automatically, Susie has that house, change the title, right? And then you can put limits on what can be dispersed to your beneficiaries. Like earlier, I talked about Power and Tyreek. He can't get his money until he finishes school. That's putting a burden on the family, but the dad wanted to make sure that he finished school and that he graduated. He didn't want him to become a drug dealer. So if Tyreek doesn't finish school, he's never going to get that money. So that is a good way to, even though we're not here anymore, we can make sure that our family is still going in the right direction, because you're not going to give up $1 million just because you don't. Well, some people might give up $1 million because they don't want to go to school, but most people are going to go to school so that they can get those benefits that were provided for them in the trust. Otherwise, it just goes to waste, right? It gives you that high degree of control over your assets. Again, you put the limits on people. You can say, hey, I want my son to get $100,000, but only $25,000 every 5 years until it's gone. So that's important to some people, because you don't want someone to just go blow it all and now they have no money and now they can't survive or take care of their children. And then you can provide wealth for generations, for multiple generations to come. So let's say you give $100,000 to your children, but then you have $200,000 for your grandchildren and $300,000 for your great-grandchildren. So you can separate things out that way, versus in a will. If you did that, the court would just be like, put it in a trust. So you might as well have gotten a trust to begin with, right? And then you have to make sure when you get your trust done that it is properly funded. So what that means is that when you get your trust done, you say, hey, the house is within the trust. I'm putting the house in the trust. You have to then go to your recorder's office and transfer that title from Brianna Phillips to the revocable living trust of Brianna Phillips. So I no longer own my house, my trust owns my house, but that's okay because I am the trustee of my trust. So if I want to sell the house, I still can. I just sell it in the name of the trust. So it just passes. If it's not in there, then it doesn't pass through the trust, and then you end up going back to probate because the trust was not properly funded. You said that the house goes to Susie, but you don't own the house to give it to, or the trust does not own the house to give it to Susie. So basically the trust is like another person. So you have to make sure that they actually own everything. You change your bank accounts into the trust of Brianna Phillips. You change your house into the trust of Brianna Phillips. When you buy your cars, you put that in the trust of Brianna Phillips. So basically you as a person own nothing, but your trust owns everything, and you are in charge of your trust. So you can still sell and buy as you please. But if you have a trust, it's best to just go ahead and put it in there the first time, because you don't really know what can happen, how fast it can happen, and if you'll have time to put it into the trust. And then, so these are the non-probate matters. That's going to be your revocable trust. You're not going to go to probate through that unless for some reason the trust was not properly funded. If you have jointly owned assets and you don't have any beneficiaries, then that's not going to go through probate. So if you are married and you pass away, but your wife is still alive, then your wife will own that property. If you will it out to your children, then your wife will own half the property and your children will own the other half. So that's why that doesn't pass into probate until the other spouse passes away. Or if you have a partner and you buy a house for like a bit, or like property for business purposes, one survives the other, then that other person will own it unless you will it out or have a trust to give it to someone else. Lifetime gifts do not go through probate matters. Life insurance do not go through probate matter unless you want them to. So that means that you can name or my mom can name me as the direct beneficiary. But if I'm like 10 years old, she doesn't want to give me $25,000, she can name my trust or my will as the beneficiary to distribute it to the child at a certain time, or you have adult children, but you don't want them to have access to $100,000 at one time, you can put it into the trust to be distributed out over time. And then also your retirement plan, again, that could go directly to someone, but you can also name the trust as a beneficiary to it and have it distributed out over time. And so when thinking about getting a trust or estate plan done in general, you can generally expect to pay about $700 to $5,000, depending on the type of estate that you have. If you have a small estate, that's generally going to be the cost. $700 is for like wills. You can easily bump up to about $1,500 to $2,000, somewhere in there, to get a trust done. And then most packages will go ahead and include that financial and medical power of attorney for you. So that is all that I had for today. I did talk a little quickly. This is all of my information. I can be found on Instagram, Facebook, email. Should have updated my email, but that email works too. And phone number. Does anyone have any questions?
Wow, we'll wait. I'm gonna check in the group and see liberation information, liberating our people, man, taking the chains off our brain, changing the mindset. We're trying to change the paradigm. The information that we've been taught, we got to change it. We got to think about the future. We got to plan for our kids. Everything here at both sides of the conversation we're doing, we're trying to do it intentionally. And we hope this message gets to community so we can sit down with our families and intentionally set up the things for our future, for our kids, for our grandkids, so that we have that generational wealth. Powerful presentation. I'm going to go through the chats. I see we have some people in the Zoom. If you guys in the Zoom have a question or you want to throw up anything for Brianna, you could throw it in the chat. I'm going to check out the group, see if it's anything. But again, the presentation is so immaculate put together that you don't have, it's simple. All you got to do is now just reach out, contact the sister, support her. Easy ways to find her. Y'all can go to both sides of the conversation on our website, click on the Oakland Law Firm. It's going to take you right to our website. Easy access. See, we intentional over here. We thinking about all of the ways we go connect community and resources. Very simple. Even if you fell asleep on the presentation, even if you was messing with the kids, all you have to do is log on both sides of the conversation, scroll down to community partners, bam, Oakland Law Firm right there. Click on her logo. Take you right there to her. It's just easy access. We're trying to make everything simple, trying to make everything make sense. I mean, even somebody that just landed on Earth will be able to come on my platform and find a way how to scroll through this stuff. So I don't see any questions in the chat. I don't see anything in the group. So again, I think that was a powerful presentation. You put everything together so well. And I'm hoping that our people get this information now and apply it. See, it's one thing to get free information, but you have to apply it. We spend enough money on Birkin bags. We spend enough money on trips. Everybody on Instagram doing it good. Everybody doing it big. Set up your future right. Contact
definitely cheaper than a Birkin bag.
Right. Set it up right with this system. We got to be smart with our economics. We know our people spend more than any race on this planet, right? But we got to set it up right. It does no good to roll around and talk about all the things we have if we don't set up our kids and our futures. And here's a good start right here. Take that money, meet up with Brianna, let her set everything up for you right, so you and your family is protected, because we know in the Black community, when grandma passed away, Lil Ray and them, they lose all the wealth in probate court. The lawyers and everybody walk away with the money because we don't educate our people how important to have these wills and trusts. And I think it's important to have both of them just to protect yourself, intentionally tell the family who gets what, to eliminate the fighting. And especially when people are grieving, going through it, it can turn ugly. And this process right here, setting up your will and trust, to be able to straighten all of that out. And that's what it is, just straight up. So thank you again, Brianna, for coming on, giving up your time to the community. I mean, we're going to continue to share this video. We're going to continue to promote you. You are doing phenomenal things in our community, giving back, and that's what it's all about. So get behind it, sister. See all these allies in the community. How can we help? How can we help? This is a way we could do it. A form of reparations is making sure our people who have something is set up right, because we know it's cost to this. So everybody's talking about defunding and taking from this to give back to the community. Here's a great opportunity to make sure that we protecting our assets in our community, and this financial justice that we're gonna keep pushing. We have to have it in our on our topics. Is just we have to do it, and we have to be intentional. So thank you again, Brianna, for all our both sides of the conversation people out there. This is what we do. We try to educate, empower the community, involve, change the lenses of our minds. We try to take the chains off our brains, free ourselves. Freedom or death. Y'all heard me earlier. Freedom or death. And we trying to free our people, because we know some of our minds have been clouded for a long time, and we trying to rechange this and look at this from a different lens. So thank you. And for all of our people, again, tomorrow, we're going to have our website launch party at 7 p.m. Please join us if you have time. We'll do a live webinar. We'll get it up on YouTube. We'll get it in our group. We'll share it on all of our social media handles. Definitely, it's going to be an experience. Step by step, we're going to go through all the functions of the website, show you how everything works, show you how to book people, show you how to support us, because we need support too. We support our community, but we need support too. We have a donate button set up to donate, because again, we have people behind the scenes working hard. This is all volunteer. This is all from our blood, sweat, tear, earned money. There's no support. We're doing it all ourselves, but we're not waiting, right? We just gonna go out here and do what we have to do. We're gonna put some campaigns together for people to get behind us and support us, whether you're an employee or a corporation. You want to support a community that's doing something, we ain't waiting. We just gonna keep pushing no matter what happens. We're going to keep pushing, because I believe in our people. I believe in community. And I know people in community has reached out to me, and they get behind us every day, supporting us. What do y'all need? What do y'all need? So I know it's going to happen. I'm not even worried about it. But we're going to make sure we educate this generation of kids. And we're going to make sure we break this cycle of bad finances, bad wealth. And we're going to make sure that we get a new generation of young people thinking about the future and setting up generational wealth and doing the things that we need to impact our community in a way with economics, because we understand that it takes money to make change. That's part of it. And it's just messed up. This is the capitalist society we set up. And we understand that this capitalism and this classism is really what's setting us back. But again, it takes economics and it takes literacy of finances to come through this and be strong, so gentrification don't affect us and move us out. So that's what it's about. So this Sunday, you guys, powerful conversation coming up this Sunday. We're having our Sunday conversation at 2 p.m. We're going to be talking about the equity in cannabis. We will talk about some of the things that people need to know, what's going on in this cannabis industry. I know everybody's talking about things are legal and recreation, but we got to understand how it's all affecting us. Some of the equity owners, some of the people that's behind the scenes doing something. We need to understand the loopholes and understand and educate community. So this conversation this Sunday should be powerful, talking about the equity in cannabis. We got some amazing cannabis owners, some people that are equity owners, people that's doing all type of stuff legislatively in the cannabis industry, and helping educate people about it and understanding, how to get through the process and how to get set up. So that's going to be a powerful conversation. And then following that, we'll have our continuous Tuesday, our hidden gem segment, where we will continue to highlight our Black and brown businesses, and we will continue to highlight individuals like Brianna in the community that's giving back, that climb the corporate ladder, climb the educational ladder, still like, I love my people, and we're going to highlight them in the community for all the things that they're doing as well. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is our Educational Thursday segment, and we will see you guys on Sunday. Thank you again. We'll see you tomorrow for our launch party as well. See you guys, and thank you for supporting us, and we'll see you soon. Peace. We out.